I'm Linda from Poseidon Equine. We are a company that specialises in horse gut health. And whilst we manufacture digestive supplements, we're also equally committed to educating as many horse owners as possible about the importance of feeding and managing your horse's gut so you can get the optimal results. So today's video is going to be looking at the role of the gut and understanding how the gut has so many roles to play, and in particular looking at the role of digestion. We're talking about gut health, we're talking about how well your horse's gut is working in the following areas. So how well it digests and absorbs feed, the barrier that's providing to protect your horse against disease-causing pathogens, bacteria and toxins, and also how it houses the trillions of bacteria who have such a major role to play. And we know that when any of these roles are compromised, it will then have a flow-on effect and impact on the rest of your horse's gut and their performance, their behaviour, the way they convert feed, the way they look, their health, and so many other areas. And if we remember, the horse's gut is over 30 metres long. And we can look at the foregut, which is in purple, and the hindgut. And so that whole tract has those three roles to play. But for today, we're going to be looking at the digestion and absorption of feed. Now, if we look at very quickly, the digestive tract is consisting of the esophagus, the stomach, and the hindgut. And then we have the cecum as well. And the point of the large colon, which sits down here near the girth area. And if we look on the other side, we have the small intestine, which is really quite long, and it's where fats and starches and proteins are digested by enzymes. So we'll start talking about digestion beginning here at the mouth. Now, a horse chews and chews and chews and chews, and there's a reason for that. It's not just about breaking the food down, it's about creating saliva. Saliva will coat the food, but also provides a bicarb buffer for the stomach acid. And our horses are making stomach acid all the time. Now, if we look at how much a horse chews, on average, a horse can chew 4,000 times for half a biscuit of hay. So it shows you how important fibre is and how the first stage of digestion is really important. So think about how much fibre your horse is getting, because fibre not only goes on to feed the helpful bacteria, but also starts the first stage of digestion. And we know that horses that are on a grain diet chew differently, and they will need to get their teeth treated more regularly because they're actually not grinding it down. So that's the first stage of digestion. Then we move on to the stomach, and the stomach is that small area there, and it's about the size of a football, so it's not very big. So it's designed for our horse to have constant grazing, small amounts of food passing through. And the reason that's important is that we know the stomach is constantly making stomach acid, and it's been estimated they can make nearly half a bathtub a day of stomach acid. So it's a lot of acid. And we know the top part of the stomach is actually not protected. So if your horse is being exercised on an empty stomach, for example, you've got stomach acid. When I say empty, I mean from food. You've got stomach acid splashing around and particularly or potentially causing pain and irritation. So again, fibre is really important. The more fibre, the more they chew, the more they salivate, the more they'll buffer the stomach acid, plus create a lining for the stomach. So if we know horses are making stomach acid regardless of whether there's food there or not, we can begin to understand why gastric ulcers can become such a problem in horses. And if you're a person that stables your horse, it's really important to remember they have to have access to some sort of fibre all the time, because otherwise the stomach acid is building up and it's just going to cause pain and irritation. So then food leaves the stomach and moves into the small intestine. And the small intestine is about 21 metres long, and you can see it there. And it's where enzymes break down fats, starches, and protein. Now, protein digestion does start in the stomach, but what's important is the small intestine can't digest fibre because it's meant to move on to the next part of the digestive tract into the cecum. Now, if we make feeds up that are too big, then a horse's stomach isn't able to digest it properly, which means it doesn't get broken down. It doesn't get digested properly. It puts more pressure on the small intestine. Because the food, as it passes through here, we want fats, starches, and proteins digestion. If it moves through too quickly, that whole process is compromised, which means that things will end up in the cecum that shouldn't be there and feed the bad bacteria and create byproducts that we don't want. So this is why understanding digestion helps you understand what you should be feeding, how often, what feed size, etc. It's all about understanding the horse's gut is really designed to have a fibre-based diet. And we know they need roughly 1.5 to 2% of their body weight a day in fibre for all those reasons, to help them, chew and help buffer the stomach acid, to help food passing through the small intestine, and then to feed the bacteria. So it's designed to have food passing through all the time. So it leaves the small intestine and then moves into the hindgut. And the first part of the hindgut is what we call the cecum. And this is where bacteria ferments fibre and creates so many helpful byproducts. So we're talking about fibre, we're talking about things like hay and grass, chaff, beet fibres, legume hulls, etc. And fibre is really important, but also variety of fibre is really great. We want to feed as many different types of bacteria as possible. Now, it's amazing because those bacteria then take that fibre and ferment it and create so many helpful byproducts. So again, look at your horse's diet and think, and consider, are you feeding enough fibre? Actually weigh your fibre, weigh your hay. We recommend an amazing software program called Feed Excel, which will take into consideration the amount of fibre that you're feeding and let you know, are you feeding enough fibre? So that is digestion very quickly, looking at all the different stages. We don't want to feed a diet that's too high in starch, so too heavily grain-based, because that means that you're feeding the wrong bacteria. So as always, if you have any questions, please contact us at info@poseidon-equine.com, and you can visit our website as well. We also have a great Facebook page and a Facebook group that you can certainly get actively involved with.